Since the 6-1 demolition of Hearts, Gretna's fortunes have gone slightly backwards, with injuries and availability issues contributing to back-to-back defeats to Broxburn and Bowness. The team is steaming into the Central Belt today, hoping to get back on track against the Caledonian Braves. But that's enough of the terrible puns. The big question is, who are Caledonian Braves? You'll find the Braves at Alliance Park, aside the Strathclyde Country Park between Hamilton and Motherwell. They are the youngest senior side in the country. Founded in 2011 as Edgy-Sport Academy, a team for French students, the team morphed into the Caledonian Braves in 2019 and has a unique global ownership structure, similar to crowdfunding. I caught up with Braves founder Chris Ewing to ask whether he expected such rapid progress from student team to knocking on the doors of the SPFL.
Yes. No, I'd be lying if I said yes, but no, when you're talking about Edgy-Sport Academy, obviously that's come back a good few years. That was in 2011 I set that up. It's like another life when you look at what we're doing at the moment with Caledonian Braves. But I think if you're in any kind of sport, you want to be ambitious. You want to try and achieve everything you can and push boundaries. And after a couple of years of Edgy-Sport playing friendly games against the professional clubs, I understood it was a real lack of competitive games for the guys. And that's when you have a choice to make. Do you go under 18s, under 21s, amateurs, juniors? And I said, well, if we're going to set up a real football team as opposed to an academy, let's try and get into the pyramid. And I remember Ricky and I came down to, I think it was Biggar or Cashel Douglas or something, down in the deepest, darkest south of Scotland to pitch the idea to the gentlemen at the South of Scotland League. And they admitted us into the league, and that was a kind of game changer, if you like, because we went from being a private football academy to having an opportunity to be a football club. We then went and won the league, got promoted into the Lowland League, became the first club to go from Tier 6 to Tier 5, and that's when we really started thinking about a real transition and saying, okay, let's try and separate the academy from the club, and that's gave birth essentially to Caledonian Braves today as we know them. I think 35 countries represented in the ownership group, but I think when you say global, the majority of the owners come from America. I think 95% of the 5,000 are actually Americans, some who have Scottish blood heritage, some who just been to Scotland and visited and love it, and some who are just football fans that like the idea of owning a football club in Scotland. We actually have some owners from America coming today who work in the NBA, so it's very exciting, and that's probably what if I was to say I could be proud of anything, I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we are able to not only showcase the club but showcase the best of Scotland. Have the owners come to visit, they travel. In fact, one of the owners was just down here last week, Chris Butler, went to see Gretna. And all of that's great, and it's about making, I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's about making friends, it's about people coming here and having a good time. Obviously we want Caledonian Braves to win games of football and do as well as we can, but beyond the performance on the pitch, it's about really creating a community, something of value, something of worth, and at the heart of that's people,
Injured himself late on in the Hearts game, so we decided to send him for a scan, and the scans came back not with great news. So he's got grade 2 tears in his ACL and MCL in his knee. If it's rehab, it'll probably look 5 or 6 months. If it's an operation, then obviously we're at the mercy of NHS waiting times and rehab after that. So we've brought in Robbie Hogg, which obviously will be a bonus. Probably won't be a direct replacement for Ian, however that search probably will go on. We're obviously always looking at the market. Robbie he's a local boy, he's from Annan, he actually lives in Dumfries now. I've known Robbie since he was 17, 18 year old. I actually had him on loan from Queen of the South when I was at Locker, and then actually signed him permanently after that. And as I say, he's been around the houses, but now the last couple of years he's settled at Locker, been playing really well, probably the outstanding player in the South League. Probably deserves his chance now, and fingers crossed he takes it.
Now, it's not that often that the third choice keeper gets to start a game, but today he does. And Gretna's third choice keeper is manager Vinnie Parker. Kevin, a point in adversity.
Yeah, absolutely. What looked like at maybe the first 10-15 minutes of the game, it might have been a sort of two teams cancelling each other. It might have been a sort of undramatic day. The story goes that Kieran, the young goalie, gets a phone call last night. This morning on the way to the bus, somebody crashed into his car, so we didn't know if he was going to get on the bus in time. He then gets on the bus and expects not to play, and then the manager, who is the third choice keeper, then gets sent off, and then Kieran gets thrust into the game and saves a penalty to make sure we get a point. So I think I just said to the guys in there, you know, if you forget why you play football, it's for moments like that for Kieran, you know, just a young lad who's been thrust in there. And he's been the hero, so he's had a great day, and we're all delighted to get a point. So it's a tough place to come. They're second in the league, and we just absolutely ground it out and showed brilliant battling qualities.
So, an important point for both sides, taking the Braves to the very top of the table and lifting Gretna 8 points away from the foot of the table. Now it's time to see what's happening further north. Today I'm in the far north. Welcome to Wick, in the historic county of Caithness. This is a port that made its money through herring fishing, but those times are long gone. These days, one of the main sources of employment is offshore energy. But there is still one product that is made here and sold around the world. That is the award-winning Old Pulteney malt whisky, known as the Maritime Malt, and very tasty it is too. But why am I here? Well, this afternoon, Wick Academy play host to the fallen giants Brechin City in a Highland League showdown. If Gretna and Wick Academy were ever to draw each other in the cup, then one of the sides would literally have to journey from one end of the country to the other. Now, I lived for a short time in Caithness, so I know all about its magic. The vast skies, the towering cliffs, the roaring surf on its empty beaches, and the dramatic castles from times past. It's a long way from anywhere, and very few people live here, so it's quite the challenge for a football manager. Being the manager of Wick Academy must rank as one of the hardest jobs in Scottish senior football. Meet Gary Manson, a man who has devoted so much time and energy over the years to Wick Academy that he once said in an article that a psychologist would describe him as clinically insane.
So yeah, I've been here since a young boy and I'm still here now, so yeah, whether you can call that commitment or insanity, it's up to you to decide. But
I think it's because of the challenge. Talk to me about the challenge of maintaining a senior side up here in Caithness.
Yeah, it's very much like being a national team manager. You can't go out and identify players that you want to go and sign specifically for different areas and then go and buy them, or you know, scout other players that you want to sign. It's like I say, you're either taking the youth up through your own youth ranks or going out to the amateur scene and seeing who can take the step up. So it's difficult because you know, we're playing Brechin today. Brechin are reasonably close to Aberdeen. Their players that playing today are probably on the wages that are 10 of our players are on, I would think. You know, that's how extreme it is when you're playing against the likes of Brechin. So yeah, we've had to just kind of think outside the box a little bit, and we've actually sort of dipped into the Orkney now.
But on the plus side, that means that, you know, Wick Academy has an identity.
Yeah, since I've been here, it's always been very much a local-based squad. And like you say, it has its advantages. You know, we go on long bus journeys to away games, and you know, the banter and the sort of feel-good factor and the togetherness that you build on the bus journeys.
But no senior club in Scotland has longer journeys than you do.
Not regular, no, not every second week. We're, you know, our closest away game is 60 miles away, and after that you're looking at 100 plus miles for the next game. So you know,
if you live up here, you know that you have to travel a long distance for anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's part and parcel of playing for Wick and part and parcel of playing living up here, I'm afraid.
There's no doubt that Brechin City are the big guns of this division.
the largest budget and the largest crowds and the largest expectation to go up.
To be honest with you, most of the fans that we meet, the away fans, they're all rooting and tooting for Brechin. They want Brechin to stay in the league, not necessarily win it and be promoted. They want to stay in because we bring the biggest away support and they love it. It's money for them.
You have played in a number of different countries, lots of different leagues. How do you assess the strength of the Highland League?
Yeah, from my point of view, obviously I wasn't overly privy to it, but in terms of the calibre of player, like there's a lot of good calibre of player in the league, and it probably does deserve to get a little more sort of recognition, especially even a club here size Brechin. Like it's a very, very big club to be in the Highland League, and then you've other big clubs in it, that Broad, Bucky, Banks of Dee. There's plenty of good quality teams, and listen, the one blessing from it as well, you get to see some nice parts of the world, which is nice. It's all relative. For what the level you're at, it's always going to be competitive, and every game we play, we know it's extremely competitive, and we can only control what we can control. And obviously from an objective point of view and from a club remit point of view, we have to be up there. Like there's no point in saying anything else.
So you don't fancy Wick's chances today?
I would say no. I would think we do well if we got a draw.
Obviously it was a tough game, but shout out to your mini ultras. They made some real noise.
That was actually the first game. It's something you see, up and down the country now, and it's good to have them there. They're so enthusiastic. They've made up their own chants, and they've got their drums, and they've got their flags, and yeah, it's good to see. I mean, that's what you need to do in local communities. You need to bring through the next generation.
And they
of
could
fans.
be on the pitch in 15
you never know.
years.
You never know.
You can't call yourself a proper ground hopper until you've made it north to Wick's incredible sloping pitch. Gary and his team will be delighted to see you. And if you include Gretna, you can tick off the first and last senior teams in Scotland. So what are you waiting for?